you just fine. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Wonderful.
Okay, so 1 minute. Let me see. Okay, because that's the music we're going to dance to. All right, my people, good morning. If you're in the morning, good afternoon. If you're in the afternoon, and good evening if you are in the evening. Welcome to another fabulous lipstick, lip balm, and literacy virtual book reading series here on Facebook. And we do have a fabulous author in the house today. She is Jacqueline Norwood-Hall. She is the author of Esther Being the Queen of Self-Esteem, and this is a series. So she's going to be telling us more about that today. Jacqueline is a lover of books. She got introduced to children's books through Dr. Seuss. so, so she's been on this ride for a very, very long time. And now, she's also doing the same thing as an author to reach out to our children in our various communities. And I really like our topic, self-esteem. So we're going to hear a lot about that today on the show. So thank you for joining once again, everyone joining. And those who are also watching the replay, thank you for clicking to watch the replay. You can share this broadcast. Please share the broadcast. Invite your friends to join us here this morning and learn about this important topic. Self-esteem is something we need to start teaching our children from a young age. So I really like the fact that you are doing a book on that focus on children. So thank you so much. And as we roll on the show, first, what lipstick are you wearing?
Well, I've got some fabulous lipstick, and I see that you did a little bit of...
Can you speak up a little bit more? I can't hear you well.
Can you hear me
I can
now?
hear you now, but you sound far away.
Oh, my goodness. This is what happens when you have old phones. Can you hear me?
I can hear you now.
Okay. I'm just going to get a little closer. Can you hear me now?
Okay. Yes.
Okay. So I did an ombre lip, and the maker of this lipstick is called Nick Cack. So that's just an off-brand lipstick, but I make it do fabulous.
Nick Cack? Oh, yes. And I'm not wearing Nick Cack today. Yes.
7 Mile Beauty Supply Store. I'm giving you guys a plug, okay?
Yes.
7 Mile Beauty Supply Store. That's my store. And I get the little fuchsia and put it in the middle, and then I outline with the purple. I see that you also got some nice purple. I see that. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. We are in the building. And I just do a little bit of an outline, and then just rub it in, and you have a nice ombre lip. That's what
thank you. Thank you.
Ma'am.
Yes, that is my style. I wear 2 or 3. Today I'm wearing 2.
Absolutely.
So my ombre lip. I have Wet and Wild. So a lot of you already know me with this color. Wet and Wild. See, it's getting smaller and smaller. Wet and Wild, and this is it. The inside is kind of like baby pink.
Okay.
And the outside is Maybelline, and it's purple. They call it Sapphire Siren. And Nick Cack, I have Nick Cack also. There was a time I bought Nick Cack, and sometimes on the show I wear Nick Cack too. So yes, and I got mine from Coco Beauty Supply. Okay. And of course I know 7 miles in Brooklyn Park also. So thanks so much. Thank you. So now we're gonna do the dance. Are you ready to dance? You can dance however comfortable it is for you. You can sit to dance, you can stand up to dance, however you like it.
I'm a real good chair dancer. I think I'm going to do the sit down dance.
Okay, however you like it is fine by us. And this morning we are doing Kosenito Gajuolo by Folake Umosen. Kosenito Gajuolo basically means no one greater than you, and she said that in the music because it's a mixture of Yoruba and English.
Nice.
If you can hear the music loud enough, just give me a thumbs up. Thank you so much again. Thanks for joining us this morning. This is Lipstick, Lip Balm, and Literacy Virtual Book Reading Series here on Facebook. And I'm your host, Bukola Oriola. And we have a fabulous author in the house, Jacqueline Norwood-Hall. Thank you so much for coming in, Jacqueline. She's the author of Esther Being, the Queen of Self-Esteem. Yes. So, Jacqueline, first of all, who is Jacqueline? Can we know a little bit about you?
Absolutely. There is a lot to know about Jacqueline. First of all, Jacqueline is like my government name, so I usually don't go by that. I usually either go by Jackie or Miss J, so we'll start there. I was born and raised in Denver, Colorado, and I have 3 brothers and sisters, 1 brother, 2 sisters. Raised, reared, love Colorado. That's my native home state. Fell in love with books at an early age. Absolutely loved books. It was a way for me to escape, and especially rhyming books. They were my absolute favorite. And so I always loved to hear Dr. Seuss books, and I always loved reading the Berenstain books, the Berenstain Bears books, because the Berenstain Bears books always taught lessons, and the Dr. Seuss books always rhymed. And it was crazy. It didn't have to make sense, but I loved it nonetheless because you could rhyme and have a wonderful time. So that's what I loved about the whole Berenstain Bears series. Anyway, graduated in 1995, go Patriots, and shortly thereafter, I met my husband. His name is Isidore Hall. I met him at church, and from there, my life took a turn for the better. We have 7 children. My oldest is named Maya, and then I have a daughter named Praise, a son named Gabriel, a daughter named Bianca, a set of twins named Isidore and Theodore, and my baby boy's name is Zion. So we were in the process of raising 7 beautiful children, but with that came a lot of transition, a lot of struggle, a lot of difficulty, just trying to figure out the day to day life, just to how you're going to eat your next meal, um, trying to instill self esteem despite the hardships that we were going through. That was something that I was trying to look for with my kids, because I knew that I had a great bunch of kids. I knew that I was a very smart woman, but I knew also the other side, which was we were experiencing hardship. We were poor. Just bottom line, we were poor. And when you're struggling, what I find out is that sometimes you don't really have a lot of friends. You don't really have a lot of people who want to be around poor people, because you're not wearing the latest, you're not looking the greatest, and so not a lot of people want to be around poor people. But there are great things, that can be found. Diamonds are found in the rough, and if you can look beyond the rough circumstances of what someone else is going through, you might just find that diamond. And so it wasn't until 2008 that I began to write my first book, Esther Being the Queen of Self-Esteem. And it was written while we were living in a shelter, a homeless shelter, of all places. It was written when we were living in a homeless shelter. And, it wasn't my first book. Actually, my first book was called Gideon and the Alligator Elevator. And I still haven't come out with that one. But this one, Esther Being the Queen of Self-Esteem, really touched my heart, because it's about a young girl who undergoes bullying because of her economic situation, because she's poor. And unfortunately, like many people who are bullied, she suffers in silence. And she does the things that, a lot of us give our children, the advice that we give our children. We say, just walk away, just ignore it. But what happens when you can ignore it? What happens when, walking away is not successful, when that's not working? How do you get beyond that? And so, fortunately for Esther, she had her Uncle Morty, who spoke into her life, who helped her see herself for who she truly was. And who you are is not defined by what you have in the possessions that you possess. Who you are is defined by who you are at the core. And her Uncle Morty helped her to see that, and helped her to see that she was a queen, in fact. And so he said, Esther Bean, you're a queen. And he began to speak life into her spirit, which is what I want to do and what I encourage others, not just children, but mothers, fathers, people in general, especially those who are suffering from poverty and impoverished situations. I'm an encourager to those, because at the end of the day, it's not where you start, it's where you finish. And it's not what you possess, as far as your material wealth. It is about who you are at the core. And so after her Uncle Morty deposited this wonderful wealth of knowledge into her spirit, she was able to see herself clearly. And being equipped with that, she was able to stand up for herself. Like, it's so important for kids who are bullied, and not only kids, but for adults who are also bullied, because it happens in the workplace, it happens at home, it happens everywhere. You can see bullying in a lot of facets these days. But it's important to be empowered. It's important to have the voice, to have a voice to speak up and to stand up for yourself. And so that's exactly what Esther did. She stood up to her bully and she basically brought it down to him. If you don't mind, I'll read just a little passage for you. Is that okay,
Thank you.
Bukola?
Thank you so much for that. I have a question about, you know, bullying and being poor. So
Yes.
would you say that people who are poor are more prone to being bullied in the community?
Well, bullies, first of all, they don't need a reason. They don't need it's not based on poverty. I don't want to cast that light, but what I will say is that when you're the odd man out, when you don't have the latest Jordans, or you don't have the latest and the greatest of clothes, or you can't afford to get your hair done, so you just kind of throw it back in a ponytail, or when you can't do all of the things that others may be able to do, um, it does sometimes put cast you in a different light, and sometimes it can put you in a position to be bullied. It doesn't mean that that will occur or that will happen, because there are kids who are poor that don't get bullied every day. So I don't want to make that generalization, but as far as Esther Bean was concerned, that was her story. It was because she had things to pick at. Her jacket was too tight. Her shoes needed soles. Her her pants had stains. Her hair was kinky and nappy, and so she was looked at because of what she lacked, because of what she did not have. It wasn't she did not fit in seamlessly with everyone else. So, no, it's not to say that people who are poor are more prone to be bullied. I don't have the statistics for that. But what I will say is that sometimes when you do not fit in whatever capacity, it could be materialistically, it could be physically. You could have a disability. You could have a speech impediment. You could have other things uh, that you're dealing with that could make you prone to bullying. So there is no one formula to why kids are bullied. But for whatever reason the bully decides to pick on those children, it's important for kids to be empowered, to have a voice, to speak up, and to stand up for themselves.
Okay. There is this saying that the way you dress is the way you will be addressed.
Mm,
And even when whether you have enough materially or you don't have enough. Let's assume somebody has just two pairs of clothes to choose from, and with the with the saying of the way you dress is the way you will be addressed, you know, how would you advise someone who doesn't have so much to look presentable? Because, for example, having an untidy hair has nothing to do with riches or being poor,
right.
and not having enough doesn't mean you can't wash your hair in the morning or tidy up your hair. So, what will be your suggestions for people when you think, oh, you don't have a luxury or you don't have enough to still look presentable?
Well, there were many times that I didn't have a lot. I was rotating like a couple of sweatsuits in my closet. I didn't really have a whole lot. So my advice is just like what you said. Look your best with your best. Whatever your best is, then make sure it is clean as much as possible. Even if you can't go to the official laundry mat, if you got to get those clothes in the bathtub and scrub them and hang them out and then iron them, present well, because sometimes it's not the label, unfortunately. People do look at labels, but when you don't have the label, label yourself. Label yourself and present yourself as your best self. Whatever your best is, make sure that it's clean, it's presentable, it's tidy, it's your best you.
So this book, Esther Bean, The Queen of Self-Esteem, you wrote this specifically for kids. What is the age group?
The age group, I start at kindergarten through about sixth grade.
Okay.
Yeah.
And by the way, people, the book link is in the description of this video. So please click that link and go get your copy for yourself and your kids. We all need self-esteem, whether you are a child or you are an adult. And for those watching on YouTube, you can do the same thing. The link is in the description below the video. And those at home, the link is on the screen for you to follow to get a copy of that book for your kids. So this book, is it a book specifically for, African American kid audience? The illustrations and the characters, are they African American, or is kind of mixed in the characters?
Well, for Esther being the queen of self-esteem, the characters were primarily of African American descent. But and I did that on purpose. That was on purpose because to me it's important to see books that have characters that look like me, that reflect my story, um, that reflect my way of life. But I'm not limited to those things. You will see a lot of supporting cast, not in just Esther Bean, but in other books to come. In Jester Mean Comes Clean, you will also see different nationalities. Mr. Green is not African American; he is actually Latino in descent. So, and Mr. Green, for your information, is the principal in the book. So he is Latino. So it's important for me to show more than just European characters. I'm not trying to be exclusive to just African American characters, but I'd rather be inclusive of all characters. And for the first two books, you will primarily see, actually, for my first three books, I have another one coming out. But for the first three books, you will primarily see children of African American descent as the main characters. Yes.
Oh, okay. Thank you so much. And for young kids, kindergarten to sixth grade, what would you advise parents or legal guardian to do to help these children build their self-esteem and be confident in themselves?
Well, one of the main things that's important for me to remember, even as a mother myself, is that they are who you say they are. So it's important that your words can be a wealth to their health, or they can tear them down. So it's important for kids to, parents to speak life into their children, to speak to the good, to speak to that which is God in your children. So uh, how they see themselves is how you see them. So if you are continually telling them that they're failures, or they're fat, or they're whatever you're telling them, make sure that you're putting more good soil than planting weeds, because those weeds grow up and that chokes the life out of those children. And you see it reflected throughout their adolescence. You see it reflected as they're young adults. You see it reflected as they become older adults. A lot of times, as you see adults, you'll see adults with with kid issues. You'll see them struggling because of something someone said or something someone did when they were yet a kid. So it's important to sow good seed and to put good soil and to water and to shower your kids with positive affirmations, positive self esteem, touch, uh, give hugs, give kisses, those things. Kids need it. They're thirsty for it. And if they're not getting it from you, parents, then they will get it from somewhere else. Someone else is willing to feed your children, but you may not like what they're feeding them. So it's important that you definitely put in the time, invest the time. It doesn't cost money to speak life into your children.
Hmm. Wow, I really like that. To speak life to your children, give them hugs and kisses. I
Yes,
kiss my son every morning when he's going to school because
yes,
I drop him off. So before he gets out of the car, even sometimes it's like I'm forcing him to give him a kiss before he goes like, come on, come close, come closer, you know, and then send him off to school. You are really right about that. It's important what we say to kids and how we care for them, and those little things that don't cost money. It's
yes,
not taking them to the movie will cost you money. It's not
yes,
taking them shopping will cost you money. But this giving hugs and kisses and speaking life costs nothing. We just need to remember and learn how
yes,
to be doing it. So thank you so much about that. Now going to adults, because there are so many adults too with self-esteem issues who don't believe in themselves or think they can't do something better, or even scared at all to even just put their dream to work. Trying is like, oh no, I'm too I'm not worthy, I can't do it. If I do it, nobody will like it, or people will reject me. So
right.
what will be your advice to adults who are struggling right now with self-esteem?
That's a good question. One of the most important things for me is my faith. Um, my faith in God and knowing that, you know, that He's able to cleanse me from the muck and mire of the past. Because what I found out is that even as a young girl, I really didn't have a wonderful self esteem myself. Um, and it's rough because a lot of messages that we entertain in our thoughts, if they go unchecked, they become our philosophy and our way of life, our way of living and thinking and how we see ourselves. So it's important for us to get back to the foundation as and for those that don't have faith, I do encourage you to have faith, but I'm not trying to like be a preacher of any sort, but uh, to believe in yourself. To believe in yourself is so key, but yet it's so hard, especially if you grew up with the wrong soil, or you grew up being planted with the wrong uh, seed. You know, when people deposit little stuff into your life and tell you that you can't, or tell you that you're ugly, or tell you that you're fat,
Mhm.
or that your head is big, or that whatever it is, because I've heard a few of those myself. As adults, it's important to get back to paying attention to what you're thinking. That's first. And then trying to reprogram that with positive affirmations, with and it feels uncomfortable at first because it's like you don't believe that, because you've been ingrained for so long to think so negatively about yourself. You know, your love handles, if I could only have, better skin, or if I didn't have, so much weight, or if I were thicker, or my lips weren't as big, or if my skin wasn't as dark, or if I were only darker. We always want to be what we aren't. You want to be like a celebrity instead of being who you are. And it's important to find that place of just self acceptance. This is who you are, what your flaws and all. Beyonce has flaws and all. She'll let you know that she doesn't. There's things about herself that she wishes she could improve on. And a lot of us look to celebrities or look to people who look like they have it all together, but they don't necessarily have it all together. And your beauty is more inner than it is outward. You know, it's reflected outward, but it lies on the inside. And so the work must begin within. You have to find out what you're, pay attention to what you're listening to, pay attention to your thoughts, pay attention to them. And then when you do hear yourself thinking, oh, I'm fat, then replace it. It's almost like you have to catch it and then replace it with a positive affirmation, even when you feel the resistance at first, because you will feel resistance. You're going to feel like, what am I doing? Like, this is so stupid. You know, you'll hear every reason why to continue to keep your own self in bondage. But once you break that barrier and once you begin to see yourself as unique, as wonderfully created, then life begins to change. Your perception about who you are and your perception about the others around you will also begin to change. And you'll begin to see the beauty in what you may believe is something ugly. You'll begin to see the beauty in something that is less desirable. You'll begin to see the beauty in the things that you don't think are necessarily beautiful, and you'll begin to celebrate yourself. So my encouragement is that you pay attention to your thoughts. That's number one. Pay attention to your thoughts. Redirect your thoughts with positive affirmation. And an important thing is to also learn to forgive those that hurt you, whether you were a kid, whether you're an adult, because sometimes people can just be mean. They can be mean, and they can also be hurt themselves. Sometimes hurting people hurt people. So it's important to know that, you know, that person may have spoken uh, things that were detrimental to your self-esteem, but that is not who you are. That's what they spoke, but that's not who you are. And you have to just begin to see yourself as fearfully and wonderfully made, and that you're unique, that God created us all for a purpose, and He loved the beauty of uniqueness. When you go to the zoo, you don't go to the zoo to look at the same thing. You go to see the beauty in the different animals. And we're different. We're all different, and we should celebrate our beauty of being unique and being different. So that's my advice.
Oh, thank you so much. That is so true. Again, our author today is Jacqueline Norwood-Hall, and our book is called Esther Bean, the Queen of Self-Esteem. You can get that book on the link that I shared in this description, either here on Facebook in the link above or on YouTube. The description is below, and if you are watching at home, the description is on the screen for you. And I would like to invite you, if you are an author and would like to be on Lipstick, Lip Balm and Literacy, please contact me at info@bukolabriola.com. I will be glad to bring you here on the show to share with us about your book and also your expertise and tips. So now the next question, because our time is running out, is can you tell us the process of doing your book?
Oh my goodness. You know, I almost liken the process of writing a book like having a baby. There is a gestation period. It is a process. The the writing part is the best part for me. because it's, for me, it's like I get to escape to a different place. I get to become the character. I get to assume the position or the role of the character. And a lot of times, it's cathartic for me. It is a healing process for me because in all of my characters, in some way or another, I see myself. So it's good for me. It's a place of healing for me. So, but it's so fun. For me, my room is like my haven. So I'm always in my room. I'll have my computer out. I probably got some jazz or some good gospel or some R&B going, and then I just write. I might hear a title, and it's crazy how you'll hear titles from just anywhere. You'll hear something that someone says, and you say, "That sounds like a good book," and then you'll just start. You'll start with that, just a title or just an idea, and there is no there is no it's not like there is a systematic process. There isn't like, okay, step one, then I do this, then I do that. That comes to that doesn't occur until after the writing has done, and then I'm contacting my illustrator, who is awesome. I really want to give her a shout out. Her name is Yoko Matsuoka. She's phenomenal. She's done a great job on my book.